Where is he?
Where are you? Skull Rock. Do you know it?
Hey everybody, it's Stacy. We are broadcasting live over at the Skull Rock broadcast. I am joined by...
Hello, I'm Megan. Welcome back to our show, our Stranger Things podcast. We're super excited to be here today, and we actually have a special guest. So we wanted to introduce you to our first guest on the podcast. We're super excited. Today we have Kelly joining us, and Kelly runs the Instagram account Joe Carey Daily. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I still say like Joe because I just say that. So I'm like, it's not, it's Joe, but I say Joe. So, but no, Joe Carey Daily. That works.
Okay, perfect. And we're so excited to talk to you today about Joe. And I guess that makes sense because it gives you like a little bit of a difference in your mind between Joe and Joe.
Yeah, I was like, let's make it a thing.
How is it pronounced? Is it DeJoe or
It's
Joe?
just Joe. I think he said it's just Joe.
It's just Joe.
The D is silent.
Joe.
All right, good to know.
You can like pronounce it in your head when you're thinking of it, right?
I was like, it's DJO. Yeah, okay, Stacy.
But he's not a DJ, so.
Damn.
I am such a huge fan of your account. I wanted to say that.
Aw.
And when I first made my account, you were like one of the first people I followed. And I remembered being a big fan of like the Polaroid edits that you make with like the Joe lyrics and the Taylor Swift lyrics.
Yes.
And obviously the music video that you made for End of Beginning is like
Yes.
my absolute favorite. And I post a lot about Steady, which I don't think you really like are into Steady, which is fine. But when you followed me back anyway, I was so excited and so honored.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Like, just that's why I like to do it because, like, you meet people, like, even if you don't like share the same interests in the fandom. Like, I like Stancy. Sorry, guys, I do.
It's okay.
But
It's
like,
all
I
right.
enjoy Steady. Like, they have the best fan art, all that stuff. So it's like it's fun to just like meet people, and then now connecting over music, which is awesome as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I like how, like you said, the interests overlap. So even if we don't like the same ship, like that doesn't matter. We're still big fans of Joe Carey and the music. So we're super excited to talk to you about that today. Did you want to say anything else about either your account or introduce yourself?
Well, I am currently in nursing school, which I don't know how I managed to do both, but I do really appreciate everyone that follows and like appreciates like the art that I make, especially the Taylor Swift Joe stuff, because that was like my thing. And I was like, people are going to hate this. But then it ended up kind of being funny because of him recording at Electric Lady the same day as Taylor. I was like, this is my brand. I love this. So it ended up all working out. So it was
Yeah,
perfect.
that was like your crossover, that those were the things that you really liked, both of them, and that he was ending up being asked about that on Jimmy Fallon and everything like that. That was just so cool.
Oh my God. I take credit a little bit for that because I tweeted the Tonight Show and I was like, you have to bring this up. And they
Yes.
did. And I was like, I'm just going to say that was me, even though it probably wasn't, but I'll just say it was.
It was all
That was
you.
totally
It was
you.
all you.
I died. I was like, oh, yes.
And I like how you, on your account, I did know that you were in nursing school, and you do share some more like personal stuff and more creative things too. And I think I try to do that with my account a little bit too, like bringing a little bit more of a personal side to it and connecting with people over it.
No, I've always tried to do like both pictures, like updates, and then like fan art edits because it just gives me more options of what I can post like on a daily basis because like it gets boring just posting like a picture every day. Like, got to spice it up a little bit.
May I just say your Snoopy edits I live for? I love Snoopy. So whenever
I
you
do
had
too.
him dancing to Joe's music at the disco, I was like, I like this. I like it a lot.
I love that.
And good luck with nursing school.
Yes.
I know you're
Most outward respect for you, girl, because, I've had a lot of family that have been sick, and I got to tell you, I would always tell them, like, the doctors are great, but the nurses, they're angels. So you guys put up with a lot, but greatly appreciated for all that you do.
Thank you. Sometimes I'm like, "Why am I doing this?" But then, like, I have, like, a nice patient or someone says something so nice, I'm like, "Okay, this is what I'm meant to do."
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and you shared, I think you shared it on your page the other day, and Stacy and I talk about kids at school all the time with
Mhm.
Stranger Things, but you had like a cute little interaction
I did.
with a patient the other day.
So I actually have on, like, my badge, I have, like, a sticker of Steve in his Scoops Ahoy outfit, and it was
Love
turned
that.
around, and the kid was wearing, like, a Stranger Things shirt, and then they saw, like, my badge, and they saw the sticker, and they got really excited and started, like, talking my ear off, and they started telling me all about how much they love Steve and how much they love Stranger Things,
Oh.
and just that, like, little interaction was able to kind of calm them down so then I could
Mhm.
give them their vaccines, and they were just, like, so excited. They were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe, like, you like Stranger Things, that's so cool," and I was like, "You don't even know. It's
You
like my
don't even
baby.
know you don't even know the tip of the iceberg. Yep.
You don't even know that half of it, but it's cool." And then I was like, "Oh, do you know he makes music?" And then they're like, "What?"
Let's jump in. What made you first a fan of Joe Keery originally, and then we want to definitely hear how you started getting into his music.
Well, obviously, I started on Stranger Things,
Mm.
way back in 2016. I loved Steve. I thought he was great. I even liked him in the first season when everyone was like, "Oh my god, he's terrible." I was like, "What?
Right?
I think he's great." I think he and then I went through, like, the show would be off, and then I would be like, "Oh, whatever," and then season 2 came, loved him, loved Steve.
Oh,
But
yeah.
season 3, that was it. It changed. I was like,
That
"Okay."
was the turning point.
That was a turning point. I don't know if it was the sailor uniform or it was just the whole thing, and then discovering his music just made it more, like, I was like, "Okay, he's well-rounded, he's super talented, he's not just Steve," so it kind of was just this whole and then the music part kind of took over for me.
We just think it's awesome that he does things that make him happy
Mhm,
and just doesn't just kind of stay in that Steve Harrington role and do similar roles.
mhm.
Like he does such creative projects. When did his first album, I guess, did it come out in 2020? It's called 2020.
It 2019, I'm pretty sure 2019, but I think he said he worked on it for years, so it was a long project.
Okay.
So, yeah, like, from, like, 2016 on, he was working on it.
And then his second album, Decide, came out in 2022.
September 16th, it came out, 2022.
Okay.
Mhm,
So it's interesting that like the first album was the same year as season 3 and the second album was the same year as season 4.
and I think they both came out in September.
Yeah, I remember when Decide came out. It was
Mhm,
like there was some hype about it, probably because I was following you.
mhm,
But that's probably what got me excited about it, and I remember listening to it right away. But I hadn't listened to 2020 very
mhm.
much. And I know Stacey, you said that you haven't really listened to his first album at all yet.
Yeah, like 1 or 2 songs, but, Decide I kinda, like, discovered thanks to you, Megan, and you, Kelly, because of your
Oh,
accounts probably, I wanna say, like, winter of last year, and Half-Life was the first song I ever listened to, and I was like, "This man is so talented. He's got some pipes on him." Like, that is a
mhm.
really great voice, and the fact that he writes his own stuff, like, really talented.
2020 is so much different than Decide in the vibes
Mhm.
that they have. I actually prefer 2020
Oh, okay.
over Decide. I love Decide,
Yeah.
but 2020 is my absolute favorite. I own it on every vinyl variant. I own the original. Like, it's real authentic and really, like, you can really hear his vocals and you can kind of, there's a lot of mix of like ELO in there and you can hear like the
Mhm.
inspirations with other music. Listen to it fully through. It's just, but the difference lyrically from 2020 to Decide is also really interesting, but that's a whole other thing you could get
Ooh,
into.
okay.
I love all the cool vocal stuff that he does, but you don't really hear him sing a ton
Mm-mm.
on Decide. And End of Beginning, and that's why I think I like it so much, is like the one song that you kind of hear a little bit
Yeah.
more. lyrics and singing on. I think you're right. There's definitely more of that on 2020. So that's cool. What is like your dream album of him to release? Like, would you like it to be like a more of acoustic album? Would you like more of the same style of music? What would you love to hear from him?
Besides covering a Taylor Swift song, which is my ultimate dream.
That would be amazing. Oh, and your Christmas album.
Yep,
You
yep.
want
I
to
want my Christmas song, and I'm gonna ask about it every year because I want it. I really hope that the what he's been working on in Electric Lady is more of like a like folky acoustic kind of vibe, which is what I'm thinking it might be. I
Okay.
could be wrong, but I kind of just think that that's kind of the direction that he might be going in, and I think that would be really, really good to hear and really different than what everyone's used to hearing from him.
Kelly, what is your all-time favorite song of his?
Oh God,
You can only pick one.
one.
Yep.
Temple Shangri-La is my favorite one
Ooh.
because
it's good.
yes, and it sounds a lot like ELO, and it's just I love the lyrics. It's that one is my top, and then End of Beginnings
Yep.
second, but Temple's number one.
Great choices.
Yeah, that's such a good song. Yeah. I was in a band in college and things like that. Have you listened to a lot of Post Animal?
I do have the vinyl that he did, the album he did with Post Animal. When I think of You in a Castle, I do have that. I preferred their music and their sound more when he was in it. I have heard their stuff. I do still like follow, but I more so listen to like the songs that he did, like Ralphie. That's a great one. He's does the vocals on that,
Right.
which is good. But mostly I kept with just the songs that he did.
Yeah, I just thought that that was cool that he did music around the same time that he was getting into acting also, and then the way that both of those things have developed for him is cool.
So, Kelly, when do you think Kiri is going to be releasing another album?
Definitely this year. Definitely. I'm not sure if it's going to be more like at the end, like he did with September, or more so. And I think actually what I think is going to happen is going to be the same kind of thing with Decide. Start like teasing in the summer, probably with a release in the fall. I could see that happening, but depending on what he's able to get done now that he's filming.
Yeah, so I think he's probably going to be pretty busy this year with his filming schedule, but hopefully, like you said, he will start teasing the new music because we know he's been working on it. So I can see this year being a good prediction for that. What would be your ideal tour to see him do, or would you like to see him play more festivals, or what are you thinking there?
So I have beef with him in festivals because I was supposed to see him at See Here Now, bought my tickets. I was so excited. And then he had to cancel because he was still in Italy filming. I cried at work on my lunch break. Everyone was
Oh.
like, "What is wrong with you?" I was like, "You guys wouldn't understand." They're like, "Okay, whatever." But no, I definitely want to see kind of a smaller, because I think he's more comfortable with that, like a smaller
Yeah.
kind of venue. Like in Philly, we have like the TLA, like those really small, like,
Yeah.
and I'm going to get shit for this. 21 and older, please.
Yes.
Mm.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I couldn't agree anymore.
21 and older.
Yep.
That's like my one thing, but very kind of like intimate, small kind of. And maybe not a full on, like everyone keeps saying Joe World Tour. I'm like, I don't think that's ever gonna happen, really. I'm like, I love you all. I'm like, that's not gonna happen. He'll hit big cities for sure.
Yeah.
But that's probably what we'll get, hopefully soon. I wish he would do just something, like just a show. It's been since Lollapalooza that he's performed.
Wow.
I could see him doing something similar to the tour that Maya Hawke just did pretty recently. So I saw Maya perform at the 930 Club in DC.
Okay.
And I think that would be a great venue for Joe. Come to the 930 Club, but also the Theater of the Living Arts, the TLA in
Yes.
Philly. I love that venue. And it's so small
Mhm.
and intimate. I would love to see him there. And he lives in New York now. So my like ideal tour would be like, a little East Coast tour, some
Yeah.
Brooklyn shows,
Yes.
I
Philly,
like that vibe.
DC. Yes.
Mhm.
Boston. Just throw that in there.
Yeah, he can
Yes.
go to Boston for Stacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just a little East Coast tour.
Yeah.
Northern Virginia, we've got lots
Yeah.
of good venues.
I was like, "You can just hit those areas. Be great."
That would be really cool if he would tour. We'll put that out in the universe. You're pretty good at
Yeah.
that.
I'm
So,
trying. Like, I try. I'm like, "Please, just, like, one show, just one that I can get to."
what would you say are some of his like influences musically?
Musically, definitely Electric Light Orchestra. He's talked about how he would love to collaborate with Jeff Lynne. You can especially on that's why I love Temple so much is if you listen to, like, the background and, like, the synths, it's very ELO, very, like, experimental. I know a lot of people said Gloom kinda reminds him of, like, Talking Heads, but I feel like you can't put him into, like, a box because he kind of just does
Yeah.
everything, and it's really such a unique sound, but you could see where he pulls inspiration from, like, 80s and then from, like, 70s. It kind of just whatever goes on in his brain, he kinda just throws it in, and then it just comes out, and it works. I don't know how.
Yeah. Yeah. Such a mesh of
Mhm.
different styles and vibes and
Yeah, oh,
everything.
for sure.
Yeah. I know he talked a little bit about music on the podcast that he did while he was living in
Mm,
Calgary. Do you remember that
I
podcast?
do.
So was there anything that stood out to you from what he said on that podcast that you wanted to
Well, he did
mention?
say how he was working a lot with his, like, acoustic guitar.
Yeah. We did just get Do you think that the 2 songs that he released recently are going to be on a new album, or they'll just be kind of like standalone tracks?
I think those are standalone tracks. I don't even think those were
They actually more went with Decide, I think, because they were called like the D sides or whatever.
they didn't have anything to do, I don't think, with Electric Lady either, because I think those had already been recorded, when he did Decide. So, I think whatever they've been teasing even on the Electric Lady Instagram is completely new.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I have a tattoo.
Tell us about your tattoo because Stacy loves tattoos. I do not have any
When
tattoos.
did you get yours?
I got mine in the like, this past summer, I think was it Au July or August? I went and it's the Decide, like, 8 ball.
I love that.
And then, like, my tattoo artist who I love, she drew, like, flowers around it and all this awesome stuff, which I love, but I was supposed to get handwritten lyrics, and when he was supposed to do that con in Telford, my friend was gonna that didn't work out either, so hopefully
I think that would look amazing. Now, where do you have the Decide 8 ball on you?
it's on my ribs on my side.
That's awesome. Oh my
Mhm.
God. How long did it take?
Oh, like 2 hours?
Wow, you're a trooper. Ribs.
Yeah, I was like, "This is awful. Never again."
Yeah. Do you have any other tattoos?
I think I have 14. I have, I have Taylor Swift lyrics,
Love that.
Snoopy as a unicorn. I
Oh,
have my mom's handwriting on my arm, which
I
is
love
cool.
that.
But yeah, I have a ton of just really weird. I have Dwight from The Office on my ankle.
And this is why you are the best.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Do you even know how many tattoos you have, Stacy?
Oh God, like 47, 48. I've
Holy
lost
crap.
count now.
Yeah, you guys are making me have tattoo envy for sure.
One of us. One of us.
I kind of am bummed that I missed his like active on social media era
Mhm.
because I kind of became a bigger fan like
Mhm.
after he sort of got off of social media, which I completely understand and respect that decision for
Mhm.
sure. But I think it was probably a fun time to
It was
be a fan.
glorious.
But I
Yeah.
think too, like now, it's a little bit more exciting because, like, those random times where he was on and, like, watching people's stories or whatever, like, everybody freaks out and gets so excited because it's like it doesn't
Hmm.
happen.
Yeah, like back around the season 2, season 3 era, even his handle was different, just kind of being a goofball. And then I like and respect that he's putting the band
Mhm,
first and kind of like you said, keeping things a mystery and a
mhm.
tease and really promoting his craft. But the few times he does view people's stories or engages and stuff, it's really cool. And didn't you say he actually responded to something that you wrote, like asking him about one of his songs? What happened there?
Oh, on his Reddit AMA, which he did that for 2020, and then he did it for Decide, which was awesome.
That's so
The
cool.
what was crazy, though, was the amount of people from when he did the one from 2020 to Decide was insane. Like, the growth was just massive. Like, nobody knew about him when he did 2020, like, nobody. So when Decide came out, people still were like, "What?" But they kinda started to figure out it was him. But I had asked him a question. He wrote one of my other favorite songs is On and On, and it's about, how he's on his phone, he scrolls, and he talks about how, he has to kind of get away because he lives in his phone. There's so much going on. And he had this line that was like, "Our family's in our thoughts. My heart goes out to you. Say a prayer, light a digital candle, and then scroll away." And I said that I loved that lyric because being a healthcare worker during the pandemic, a lot of it was, online. People were like, "Oh, we're so thankful for you. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for, being in the front lines." And then a couple years later, it's like, "We don't want to listen to you. Screw you. We don't want to wear a mask."
Hmm.
And he kind of explained the meaning of the lyric and then thanked me for being a healthcare worker. And I'm pretty sure I cried. It was a really special, like, moment, and that's like, he didn't have to say that, and I thought that was really sweet that he acknowledged that and thanked me.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, and he was like he stayed and did that AMA for, like, 3 hours, and I've never seen anything like that before, and it was if you ever have a chance to kind of go back and read through it, like, sometimes he gives these real serious answers, and then he gives just I can't even, like, talks about a basil plant,
Yeah.
but if you have a chance to read it, it's fun. It's a good time.
I definitely wanna read that at some
Mhm,
point. It's on Reddit.
mhm.
Can you, like, send me a link to it?
Yeah, it's on the Indie Heads Reddit, so I'll send the link, but it's good. It's fun.
Yeah, we can post it in our stories for the
Mhm.
podcast too, in case anybody else wants to check that out. But anything else that you wanted to mention about his
Well,
music?
I did have something cool that I wanted to share, when all the vinyls came out, he actually did design all of them, they were all his idea. So all of them were his.
Oh,
That's so
wow.
Mhm,
cool.
so every one, all the different looks, that was all him. He picked them out, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah,
Mhm,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
that's he's so creative.
Obviously, we all kind of discovered Joe through Stranger
mhm.
Things. Can you tell us, like, at least in your eyes, what makes the character of Steve Harrington so likable and lovable, and why he's such a popular character?
Like I said, I enjoyed him in the first season as the '80s jock kind of jerk. I thought he was great, but when he comes back and does that move with the bat and he's like he swings and I was like, "Okay." But then in the second season, you kind of see, a different side when, they break up, him and Nancy, and then he's with Dustin, and that there was just gold. And he's funny, but just the way that he interacts with, the group and the kids, and then just how he is so protective of them and so, like, willing to put his own life in danger to protect them. It was really awesome to see that growth, and then obviously, that was what started the whole he's the mom, like, when he's got the towel over his shoulder and he's like, "No, no," like and I don't know if it's just how Joe plays it, but it just worked. And then season 3, Scoops Ahoy Steve is he's just a mess. He's chaotic.
Yeah,
I don't care about Tina,
in the
like,
best
that's
way.
the best. It's just that sold it. Like, that was when I think I mean, he always was a fan favorite, but I think that was kind of like, okay, he's gonna be the one that people really remember. Not saying that all the
Yeah.
characters aren't memorable, but he's kinda set apart.
Yeah, and we've talked about how I think the writers do a good job of giving him that material, but Joe Keery is the one that really, like you said,
Mhm,
plays it up, and his acting just is so believable. And I agree with season 2. Like, he gets a little bit of a hero moment at the end of season
mhm.
1, but like in the junkyard with like Dustin and
Yes,
Max, and I think, does Dustin say like he's
yes,
awesome? Like,
yes.
Mhm.
and that was just like a definitely a
Mhm,
moment there in season 2 of, like you said, just so brave and heroic to kind of just stand up to these monsters to protect the kids. Yeah, for sure.
and then being like that in the episode of the Halloween with Nancy, like how, any normal teenage boy would not be able to handle seeing their ex with someone new, but also still having that respect and that kindness just kind of shows that he always kind of cared about the people in his life. And if it didn't work out and it hurt him, it was okay because, like, he understood, like, why certain things had to happen, which I enjoyed.
Yeah. He's such a good person in, even in that love
Mhm.
triangle relationship. Like, yes, he gets angry at Jonathan in season 1, but I think it's justified to some
Mhm.
extent. And
Mhm.
then being so understanding and buying him a new camera at the end of
Mhm.
season 1, and then basically just letting things go when she starts to, like, pull away from him in season
Mhm.
2. And yeah, it's believable because Joe Keery plays it in a believable
Mhm.
way, but it's
Absolutely.
like, I don't know that there's really men
No,
like that in real life.
no.
Yeah, find me
Yeah,
one of
seriously.
those. Jesus.
But I think his scene with Maya in season 3 when she comes out
Yeah.
and his reaction and how, like, he stops and kind of, registers what she's saying, takes it in, but then immediately can sense that she's, like, "Oh my god, what did I just do?" And then starts, like, making fun of Tammy Thompson, like, that and then to bring her back in season 4 was I love that. That made I died.
That
Yeah,
was
that
amazing.
was a really great
Uh-huh.
comedic moment in season 4 when Tammy comes in. Yeah, Maya and Joe provide such good, like, they're comedic relief, but in such an emotional
Yeah.
way, some of those scenes. And yeah, her singing at the assembly.
Mhm.
That
I
was hilarious.
told you, Muppet.
So, predictions of what's gonna happen
Oh god.
in season 5.
So I truly think that nobody can kill him. I just think that they like Joe too much. That Steve he'll make it. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be smooth sailing. I think it's gonna be rough. I don't know what they're gonna do with the love triangle, what aspect that's taking, but I'm hoping he has his happy ending.
Mm.
Because if not,
Yeah.
I will need Netflix and the Duffers to pay for my therapy bill. Because I can't imagine Steve not having a happy ending, whatever that may look like for him.
Yeah. I think that's really funny that you say that because I've never really thought about that. But you're right. I feel like it's so funny that nobody can kill Joe Keery, but like everybody kills Joseph Quinn.
Yup.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about Fargo?
I loved Fargo. Okay, so spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers for Fargo.
He was so great. So great.
Mhm.
Especially the last couple episodes. I mean, he was great the whole show. He went from like just but even as like the douchebag, I was like, do I really hate him? Am I supposed to? I get it. Like he sucks,
Mhm.
but like I can't help it because it's Joe. And I have this theory, and I'm probably wrong. I have a theory that if it wasn't Joe, I don't think Gator would have had a redemption arc
Mm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
written. I think the same thing. I think they met him. He played Gator. He gave him a lot of layers and kind of that vulnerability that necessarily wasn't written. And they're like, okay, so maybe we can give him a redemption,
Yeah.
which because I was like, there's no way this guy was not gonna like die. Like everybody was like, no way. He's no way. but
hmm
he somehow lived, didn't get to like have his eyes, but he got to live.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was like a fair trade.
Like, I screamed at that. I have this weird thing with my eyes. I think
Mhm.
everybody
Yeah.
does, low key. And I kept seeing like previews and stuff, and I was avoiding spoilers. But just even at the beginning, when they did the teaser trailer before the show even aired,
Mhm.
I saw him with that bloody bandage around his eyes
Mhm.
and the rope around his neck. And I
Mhm.
went, wait a second. And his acting in that last episode, just the little like moans and whimpers of
Yeah.
pain trying to find his way through the tunnel.
Yeah.
And I think what really sold me, and I'm sure you guys agree, is that final scene with Dot when he's asking, like, did you really see my mom? Will you come and visit me?
Mhm.
My heart broke, but I was so happy to see that moment between them after that epic journey they went on,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even from the first moment that you saw them interact, she was not, like, angry at him. She was,
No.
like, disappointed in him,
Mhm.
but not surprised because of who his father is, but she wasn't angry at him, so I think that's why, as the viewer, you had a hard time being angry at him because she, as the protagonist, was not angry at him. So it was like, well, if she doesn't hate him and she's not angry at him, it's hard for us to feel that way about him. So I think that it's very interesting of a prediction that maybe he would have died if not for Joe Keery, because I think that's what was supposed to happen with Steve Harrington,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Him and Juno were great. They were great together.
Yeah.
And I loved the scene in like where she's like, locked up and chained and he goes in to see her. And at first she kind of is talking to him in the more motherly way about how
hmm
she saw his mom and how, they can get out together. And then when he doesn't accept and her whole kind of like tone and her body language changes and she lays on the bed, kind of almost like an older sister. And then her
Yeah.
like accent kind of drops and she starts talking crap about how his dad never wanted him. He doesn't want him to have his name. Like I thought that was kind of showed the really complex dynamic that they obviously had where she once was kind of like a sister
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then became a motherly figure. So how crazy that must be for somebody to have to live through.
That was so interesting because it was intentional. Like, she wanted him to leave. So she changed her demeanor in him to him because she knew how to press his buttons and she knew exactly what to say to get him angry enough to leave. And that's what she did. Like, that's how I watched the scene, at
Mhm.
least. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it was almost that wasn't really how she wanted to be talking to him, but she knew that
Mm-mm.
that's how she needed to talk to him to get him to do what she wanted him to do, which was
Mhm.
leave. And she's for sure baking him cookies and visiting every month. Like, there's
Mhm.
no question. Like, I think people wanted to see that, but I was like, we didn't need to see it. Like, there was
Mm-mm.
no
Yeah.
question that that was going to happen. That was just who she was. It was also interesting to see that parallel of him like tied to the chair and being tortured because that was also from Stranger
I work
Things.
for Scoops Ahoy.
Yeah. What is your favorite Joe merch?
My socks. My Joe socks.
The
That's all I
jocks
wanted.
Oh, those
are the
are
Yes.
best.
awesome.
That's all I
Yes.
wanted.
Yeah. You have a bunch of other stuff too,
I
though.
have oh, yeah, I have all the vinyls,
Okay.
the sweatshirts. I have it all. I have the ornament, the Decide 8 ball. I kind of like I have the sign poster that they did last Christmas. I have a problem. I just kind of just swipe, but I like merch. I like Taylor Swift
Yeah.
merch too. So yeah, I really liked all his new stuff he released as well. It was awesome.
Yeah. Do you have any Steve Harrington merch?
I do. I have Funko Pops and
Nice.
I have a Steve Harrington shirt that I love. One of those like 90s graphics ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wear that all
Yeah.
the time. I
What's
love
your
it.
favorite Funko Pop?
I have the Steve with the glasses and the yellow gloves. I like
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, that's a great
That's a
one.
great one.
I
Yeah.
love it. My friend sent it to me for my birthday because I couldn't find it. I was like, yes, love it.
Oh, well, Kelly, it was so fun talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me.
And hopefully we'll talk to you soon. And again, thanks for being here.
Thank you. And I will love to come back.
Awesome. That would be great. Thanks for being our first guest.
Thanks. I had so much fun.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, that was great.
She was adorable.
So, filming updates. We have a lot to talk about.
Mhm.
We have not recorded for 2 weeks, and so much has happened in the past 2 weeks. I mean, we've gotten so much. So, last episode, when we did filming updates, I mentioned that they typically historically release some sort of photo or video for the table read and just confirm that production has begun, and we got that. So that was that cool black and white picture. There were so many people there. So let's talk about like who was in that picture, who wasn't in that picture, and kind of any surprises there. Were you surprised to see anyone in that picture, Stacey?
I thought it was cool that they had Linda Hamilton in it because we know that she's
Mhm.
going to be playing a role. We're just not too sure what it's going to be.
Yep.
I think the character of Vicky is going to be playing a bigger role, so it was kind of cool to see her in the photo.
Yep. That's exactly what I was thinking too.
A lot of people were saying, like, oh, the way that they were seated, there's a reason behind it.
Hmm.
I could kind of see it, like, a little bit, but I wasn't thinking that much into it. But overall, I thought Vicky's obviously going to be having a larger part. And, I'm sure everybody was squinting trying to see if Joseph Quinn was hiding underneath a coffee table or something, but
Yeah, yeah. I loved everybody who was saying, "Oh, Joseph Quinn was taking the picture." I wasn't too surprised by everyone that was there, and also, I mean, just because they're not in the picture doesn't necessarily mean they're not returning.
Mhm.
I think that they want to keep some things a surprise, so we'll see. I'm not reading too much into the picture, but I thought it was interesting, like you said, that the seating arrangement. So, was Linda Hamilton kind of sitting with like the other adults?
She was sitting near actually Jamie in the back.
Oh,
So
yeah.
maybe something behind that. I don't know.
Interesting, interesting. And that was the official notification that production of season 5 had begun. But then Ross Duffer has been sharing pretty much every week, if not
Yep.
more, sort of an update. So his very first photo that he shared from set was of Joe Keery and Maya Hawke in, we assume, in costume
Yep.
for Steve and Robin. And that was a really fun picture. I've gotten like 500 new followers from that picture alone. Like, I don't know why that picture just blew up the way it did on my account. I know we were already kind of like looking at some of the details in that picture
Oh,
with
yeah.
like Steve's shoes, because it was a little slideshow of pictures. So there was the picture of Joe and Maya, and then there were some other pictures of like the set. I noticed like a poster, a book, Steve's shoes. So people have definitely been like dissecting all of those little things. And we are thinking potentially 1989 could be the year that this season is taking place in.
Yeah, it's a little up in the air right now because, us really hardcore fans, we're trying anything we can to figure it out. There's a rumor for a while it was going to be winter of 87. And the little like photos and hints that we've been getting, like there was a Haley's Comet bumper sticker, which I guess
Mm.
was through 86 to 87, but it looks like an older bumper sticker. Then there was a photo that I got debunked. It showed photos from 1989, and somebody was like, "No, that's not from the Stranger Things set." But
Yeah.
I'm feeling if I had to lean towards anything, especially, and I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, we did see leaked photos of Finn and Millie. Her hair looks longer. So if I was a
Yep.
gambling gal, I would say 88 or 89 at least, but who knows at this point, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So we do want to also preface this that sometimes filming updates could potentially be spoilery,
Yep.
especially because we're going to stick mostly to talking about things that Raw Stuffer and
Are
Netflix and
posting.
Stranger
Yep.
Things have posted, but there are things coming out that are sort of like paparazzi taking pictures. And so, for example, Raw Stuffer posted a picture of Dustin or of Gaten as
Yep.
Dustin, and he's in costume. He is wearing a Hellfire Club shirt. He's making the like double horns symbol that Eddie made in the
Yep.
cafeteria and sticking his tongue out. So that iconic like Eddie Munson pose. And the caption that Ross put on it was Hellfire lives.
Mhm.
And then I'm sure people have probably seen the leaked photos that go along
Yeah.
with that photo, but he was in a location that I'm not gonna say.
Yeah.
Um, if you wanna find it out and you haven't seen it, I'm sure you can find it pretty easily, but that was a little tough, and I don't know because was it real? Was it an edited photo? Like,
Oh,
is it
that's
the
the
Duffer
thing.
Brothers playing with us? Like,
Yeah.
we don't know. So, it could be a spoiler, it could be not a spoiler, it could be confirmation of something that has happened. We don't know. So, there's really no way
Nothing is
to
set in
know.
stone. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then same thing with there's been photos leaked of, like, set locations, so it looks like they're filming at the lab again, it looks like they're definitely filming at the high school again, and the leaked photos of well, they're again, Ross Stuffer shared a photo, but it was their backs, but you could pretty much tell that it was Finn and Millie.
Yeah.
There was a third person that we're very torn on whether or not it was Joe Keery or whether it was one of the Duffer Brothers, but I don't know. I'm leaning more towards the Duffer Brother,
Yeah.
because Joe Keery was very busy last week, like,
Mhm.
elsewhere, so I have a feeling he wasn't on set last week. He was at award shows and things like that. I don't know, it could have been him, but then there were leaked photos of Finn and Millie. It looked like they were filming a scene, which,
Mhm.
again, we don't know what they were doing. Maybe they were rehearsing. There was a photo leaked of, David Harbour
Yep.
on that same location. We have seen a leaked photo of Winona Ryder, but again, we don't really have any context for any of this stuff. I think even the location where they were, you called it though from Ross Duffer's photos.
I did. I'm a freak, guys. Literally, I will like zoom in and I can try to figure it out. And the photos that Ross first posted last Tuesday, which the first one being Joe and Maya, I started looking at the set and I went, that's a radio station. And I
Yeah.
went, oh my God. Now, this is just my guess. I went, wouldn't it be awesome if that's if Robin and Steve's new job? They're DJs. And
Yeah.
I right away texted Megan. I was like, I think this is a radio station. And the more you kind of look at the photos, the more you're like, yeah, it kind of looks like it. And then it ended up being revealed and it looks a little worn down. So it might not be an active radio station. It could be a hangout for all we know. But
Yeah.
a radio station is a filming location. So interesting.
My kind of like feeling about that whole situation is I feel like it's going to be sort of an apocalyptic vibe. I
Hmm.
don't know, but like I feel like you're the pro on like the 80s movies and things like
Yeah.
that, but up are there like apocalyptic 80s movies? Like
I mean, there's a few. I mean, there was a few that go, like, way on the other side of the spectrum, like Road Warrior, Mad Max, and stuff like that, Radioactive Dreams, Red Dawn, sort of, if you think of it that way. So,
okay.
the photos that were showing at the high school, I'm like, and mind you, some of them were leaked, some of them were photos of the actual location. A bunch of people were like, there was a massive earthquake. Like, we don't know how much time has passed, but would they really be attending school still? So I'm like, yeah, that's a good question, actually. And I'm like, I think time has passed, but at the same token, maybe they're not in school because the sets that we're seeing, everything looks really run down.
Yeah.
So I think you might be on the nose with that, Megan.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I mean, the one guy was wearing the his like Letterman jacket, which you would think that I don't know, he wouldn't really be wearing that just around town, but I guess he probably would. um yeah, so but I was thinking it could be that they needed this radio to contact, help because of the apocalypse happening. And maybe Steve and Robin are kind of the ones that are like manning the radio
Wouldn't
because
that
they
be
don't have to go to
awesome?
school. I don't know. That was just kind of like what I like based on your idea that was their new job. Like maybe not like a job, but like maybe that
Yeah.
is like you said their hangout and what they kind of do is like either just man the radio to try to contact help or like broadcast news to the area. Um, who knows? We'll see. But it's
Yeah.
really fun to see all of these things that Rostoffer is sharing and also the leaked things as well.
We're going to try not to spoil anything major, like we said, especially, I'm sure everybody's seen it, but we're not going to say it. The photo with Dustin. I still have faith. We'll see. But I'm really interested to see because I actually rewatched the piggyback, I think 2 nights ago. And I re-listened to that whole speech that Steve gives Nancy about how he used to crawl backwards. And we all know, because the first taste
The
we got of season
title
5,
is The
the
Crawl.
crawl. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, that can mean 8 different things, but that somehow like flagged something into my head. I went, the crawl. Wonder what that means. So, just think of how far we've gotten, guys. I think that title got released last spring or winter. So we've come a long way now that now they're actively filming. We're seeing things, but just the way you got to look at it is don't panic, trust the Duffers.
Mhm.
And I'm sure whatever route they're going to go, whatever year they're going to go with, whatever direction, it's going to work.
Yeah, it's all gonna fit together, and I'm sure there's gonna be, like, clues, like you said, of certain things that they were already setting up for in season 4, and that speech was, like, a little weird, like,
Thank you.
I mean, I don't know that, like, somebody would really talk about crawling backwards, like,
I'd
I
be
don't
like,
know, that was
we're in a different dimension. What the hell are you talking about? That'd be me.
right,
As
right,
this guy's
so
pouring his heart out to me, telling me that he wants to have 6 children with me, I'd be like, what the F is the matter with you? That'd be me.
yeah, so I feel like there was a reason that they put that
Yeah.
in there, so maybe there is a connection there.
There's gonna literally be a scene of Joe Carey on his hands and knees moving backwards as Vecna is trying to like cut his head off.
Yeah,
I
but,
said it
like,
here
crawling
first.
backwards, like time travel going backwards too. I always
Oh,
keep bringing that time travel, like, into it,
we know
so
that meant
we'll
something,
see.
so yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for today, guys. We really appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to follow us on social media. The podcast is Skull Rock Broadcast. You can follow me at Steady Stories, Stacy at Stay Still Reviews. Follow us on social media. Let us know what you think about the show. Let us know if there's any other topics you would like us to discuss, any other suggestions for guests that we could have on the podcast. We are open to all of that. Yeah, so we are signing off.
Over and out.
I'm not sure I love the idea of you driving.
Oh, I'm starting sorry. Harrington's got her. Don't you, big boy?
I was gonna say I'll start.
Okay,
here we
go
go.
for it.
And we're back. Hey guys,
We're
this
back.
is our what did you call it last time? It was so good. It was our secret steady segment.
Segment. Yeah.
Look at that. all things fan fiction. If you are interested in listening to, if this isn't your thing, no worries. But we wanted to definitely update you guys on some of the stories that we have been reading and talking about. And Megan, you were wonderful enough to actually recommend two stories to me. One I'm almost done, which is I Think We Should Kiss Like Normal People. Oh my God. Yeah, by Onion Shiver.
So, are you loving it?
It is so goddamn good. I am probably
Yeah.
almost done the last chapter, but I was, I had time on my hands. And unfortunately, guys came down with a really bad head cold. So I've been kind of laid up on the sofa for a lot. And I was like, well, let me look at this. It is so well written, so good. The smut
Yeah.
is just perfect. But I really
Yes.
love basically like how almost like codependent they become with each other.
Yeah, I think Onion Chiver writes a lot of codependent steady, which, oh my gosh, it's so, like, unhealthy sometimes, but it's,
Mhm.
like, so fun to read.
Right? Like just, I'm sure, from the last episode, Megan explained it's after the events of season 4. They kind of help each other both on separate occasions, heal up, and then they all end up move to San Francisco. And there's
Mhm.
just a moment, I think it's in the first chapter, where Eddie's like, well, I'm going to get a job at a record store. And Steve like has a panic attack because he's so
Yeah.
used to Eddie being consistently in his life. And like Megan said, the kind of unhealthy, but so good to read codependence that they have on each other that this author writes. The same thing was in their most famous story, You're Divine, when
Yeah.
the character Steve has to go out and he actually realizes I don't like being out of my house and away from Eddie,
Right.
But I
Yeah.
am enjoying the hell out of this story, Megan. Thank you for recommending it.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think it's so cool. I read Your Divine first
Yeah.
also, obviously, but they wrote this before Your Divine, but
Oh.
there's like some things that you can see they kind of took it to the next level with Your
Mm-hmm.
Divine with some of the stuff. It's a similar relationship that
Yeah.
Steve and Eddie have in this fic and in Your Divine, but in Your Divine, like, Eddie is actually like a monster because he needs to, have blood to survive. He's like a vampire. But in this one, there is a lot of those like themes of like thinking that you're a monster and like things like that. So it's like you could see how they like the evolution of like how they took that to the next level with Your Divine. So I thought that was really cool.
So good. Now, did you finish it or?
I just finished it today.
Ooh.
I had taken a break because I just wasn't reading a lot, and the last couple days finished it up, and then I was like, "Oh, I think Stacey's done. I need to finish it up." So I read like the last couple of like pages in air quotes
Yep.
because it's not really pages, but yeah, I read the last little bit today, and yeah, happy ending, of course.
Good.
Um, you've got to have a happy ending. I don't really read fics that don't have happy endings.
That story, incredibly good. I think I'm definitely going to try to read more of their stuff because that writer's so, I don't know, talented with their words.
Absolutely super talented, and they just write beautiful sentences. Like, I
Right?
don't know how to, like, describe it. They're just the way they put words together is just beautiful.
Yeah. They have nicknames for each other, just like in Your
Oh, yeah.
Divine.
Yep.
Isn't it Starlight and Snow Day?
I think it's Starshine and Snow Day.
So cute. And you'll
Yeah.
understand if you read the story why they call each other that. But I'm like, Eddie would give Steve a nickname. I mean, he did call him, Big Boy. So
No, and it's so funny because I don't know, I didn't necessarily do this intentionally, but if you would like to read them in the correct like seasons, I read Your Divine in like not this past October, the October before that, but it's very like, it's a good story for like Halloween,
Mm.
October time because it's like vampire, monster. Blackout Days, Fairground Nights is like I read it in the summer,
Oh my God, I
like
did too.
because that was like a great vibe for it because they go to like a fair at one point. That's not like a huge part of the story, but they do go to a fair. And I just read this one literally on a snow day. So yeah, I read them all at like the perfect seasonal time, I think. So that was funny. You said you also listened to The Most Remarkable Thing.
It's so funny because when you were describing the fit to me, I'm like going, yeah, that sounds good. Wow. And then literally I re-listened to our episode and I'm listening to it and I go, I've heard this fic before. I know I
Yeah,
have.
I had a feeling you probably had. It's hard to remember all of the ones that we've read
Yeah,
though.
we've read
So
like thousands at this point, but no,
yeah.
that's an incredible story. I do agree. One of the best Eddie Rockstar ones. Very well done with the Rolling Stone articles and stuff. Really, really did like that one. And I'm a big fan of listening to Podfix when I'm driving, especially if I have a long trip. So that
Yeah,
was
me
one that
too.
took me a few days to listen to. I believe it was like last summer that I listened to it, but that's one I agree with Megan. I highly recommend.
Yeah. I have a podfic to recommend.
Okay.
So it's called I Want to Kiss You, but I Want It Too Much. And it's just under 2 hours, so it's not a long story. I don't know how to pronounce the author of the fic, but the person who made the podfic is How Old Are We?
Okay.
And I loved it. It's all told through outsiders' points of view,
Ooh.
which was really cool. And there's 5, I think, outsider points of view, and I'll tell you 3 of them: Robin, Wayne, and Will.
Oh,
There's a
I love
couple
that.
other ones that I won't, like, spoil, but it is absolutely beautiful. You, like, see the relationship kind of developing through these, like, outsiders' eyes,
Mhm.
and I just loved it so much, and it spans, like, a pretty long time period too, which was cool because you got to see them later on, and I highly recommend the podfic, so you definitely
Ooh.
listen to that one. That one will be a good one for your commute,
Love that.
and like I said, I just finally finished, We Should Just Kiss, and that was beautiful. Yeah, I've been reading little one-shots here and there, but I did wanna mention something else. I know we've talked a lot about a bunch of different fics on the podcast so far. This is our 5th episode, and I'm not really putting the links in our show notes or anything like that, but I wanted to try to figure out a way to have all of the fics somewhere for people if they're trying to find the ones that we've mentioned. So I
Mhm.
did start a bookmark collection on AO3. So I need to like finish it up and add a couple more of the fics that we've talked about. But that way people can just get linked to that collection, and then you'll be able to scroll through all the ones that we've mentioned, and you can always like filter within a collection too. So if you're looking for a specific thing, you could use the filter tool, which I am obsessed with the filter tool on AO3.
Mhm.
Like I think it's so great because you can kind of like really find exactly what you're looking
Oh,
for,
yeah.
what kind of thing you want to read. Like if you want to read Steve Harrington Needs a Hug, like that's one of my favorite tags. You can also exclude things. So if you don't like certain background characters or background pairings or trigger warnings, like you can exclude things when you're
Mhm.
sorting through fics too. So those are the 2 things I wanted to mention: our bookmark collection, and also just a shout out for the the tagging and filter feature on AR3, because it's so great to just be able to like narrow down exactly what you're
Exactly.
looking for. And we have so much steady fic that you can pretty much find anything that you wanna read.
Mhm. Anything. I did wanna tell you that, I did get to start, They Should Send Us to Prison for Being Jerks, and I love it so much just because it's a modern AU. It's really, really cute, perfect balance of smut and, kind of like them falling for each other, and like you said, it reminded me so much of kind of being in the same realm as Sneaky Link by Morning
Yes,
Berries.
our favorite,
Oh my god.
yeah, and again, shout out Morning Berries.
Woo woo.
We we know they're listening.
Yep.
It's so fun to, have some of our favorite fanfic authors and writers listening to our podcast. So if that's you, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. We love you.
Yeah, a Morning Berries. I think that was one of the first authors I ever recommended to you
It was at the Fan Expo in Philly.
at
Yeah,
Fan
we talked
Expo.
about them for a while. Yep.
I was like, "Have you ever read The Many Ways to Say I Love You?" And I was like, literally one of my all-time favorites. And every single story of theirs is a hit. And
Yeah.
this new one, Sneaky Link, like whenever they update, we instantly text each other. We're like, new Sneaky Link update. So it
Yeah.
has just been
Yeah. So
incredible.
the past couple weeks we've gotten a couple new chapters and they were both so good. Yeah, we will be excited for the last few chapters. It's kind of coming to an end soon, I think, which we'll be so sad about, but
I
then I'm
know.
sure they'll work on something else that we'll love also.
Absolutely.
So I think we are finished for today. Thank you again for listening, everyone, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Over and out.
Over and out.